And we are now in the prose section in the beginning. So what verse are we on?
I'm not sure. I wasn't here last time.
I know, if you'd like the, so we were on 7-8 on page 6, and we covered part of it. Would you like to know where we are partway through, or?
Well, let's start it from the beginning.
Okay.
Deepa chanted last week. She tuned in, so we had a chanter.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Upadishya cha grahayet brahmano lakshanam ya atma pahat papma yat sakshad parokshad brahma yoshanaya pipase neti neti asthula mananu sa eshaneti uddashtam drishtam vijnanamanandam satyam jnanam manantam adrishya natimne Sava esha mahanaj atma aprano yamana sabhya bhyantaro hyajaha vijnanaghana eva anantaram bahyam anyadeva tadvidita de tatho aviditat akasho vainam ityadi shrutibhi smriti yuscha na jayate bhriyate va nadate kasyachit papam yatha kasha sthito nityam kshetragyam chapi mam vidhi na sattanasa duchayate anadi tva nirgunatvat samam sarveshu bhuteshu uttamaha purushastvanyah ityadibhi shrutyukta lakshana viruddhamki paramatma sansaritva pratipadan parabhi tasya sarvenanya tva pratipadana paramishya.
It's a mouthful. Good job.
After teaching these, he should teach the definition of Brahman through such Shruti texts as the self devoid of sins, the Brahman that is immediate and direct, that which is beyond hunger and thirst, not this, neither gross nor subtle. This self is not this. It is the seer itself unseen, knowledge bliss, existence knowledge infinite, imperceptible bodiless, that great unborn self, without the vital force and the mind. Unborn comprising the interior and exterior, consisting of knowledge only, without interior or exterior. It is verily called what is known as also what is unknown, and called Akasha, the self-effulgent one, and also through such Smriti texts as the following. It is neither born nor dies. It is not affected by anyone's sins. Just as air is always in the ether, the individual self should be regarded as the universal one. It is called neither existent nor non-existent. As the self is beginningless and devoid of qualities, the same in all beings, and the supreme being is different. All these support the definition given by the Shrupis and prove that the innermost self is beyond transmigratory existence, and that it is not different from Brahman, the all-comprehensive principle.
All right. So how far did we get in breaking open these various ideas, Mark?
So we got onto imperceptible bodiless.
All right. So each one of these is a very important exercise in contemplation, as Swamiji used to say. So again, reviewing, how do we use these? So those of you who may have vasanas to someday become a teacher, one of the greatest problems people have is, first of all, in their discussion, they externalize the self. They make it an idea, like we're going to talk about French, or we're going to talk about the war in Ukraine as something other. Always, we must start with our direct experience. So I will say something like, who sees the coffee cup? I do. Refer to yourself. That's yourself. You're not going to get another self. The problem is not that I need to fix, change, alter, or become something. My problem is avidya. My problem is ignorance. My problem is I am inattentive to what's really going on. So these various scriptural passages turn the student's mind back on the self itself. And I'll use all sorts of worldly examples to give an idea of the process. One I've been using a lot recently is, with your mind's eye, with your attention, pay attention to the sensation of the waistband of your trousers. Are your pants too tight, too loose, just right? Now, we didn't create the sensation. It didn't begin just now. In fact, it's been going on since you put your pants on this morning. But we have perhaps not paid attention to it. So we bring the mind's eye, the attentive faculty, to what already is. That's what we do with the self. Now, in scripture, we have two kinds of meditation verses. We have the verses of negation and the verses of assertion. Neither defines the self. All they can do is point. So what do? In our meditation, spending some time getting the mind very quiet. Then we take one of these ideas from scripture, introverting this attentive faculty, see directly whether or not this is true about me. So what's the idea we're starting off with this morning?
That great unborn self, or imperceptible bodiless.
That's the starting with this week?
Yes.
Okay. that great unborn self. So I think I was born when I popped out of my mother's womb. I've grown up, I've grown older. But actually, do you have any experience of the beginning of you? Well, I just don't remember when I popped out. Well, memory is not what keeps you or affirms your existence. What's the date today? I mean, 27th, 28th. 28th of September. What were you doing on the 28th of September 5 years ago? Any idea?
No.
But did you cease to exist? So you see, your existence is not dependent on memory. You have huge gaps in your memory. In fact, you have no experience of you beginning. Now, the deeper understanding of unborn, I know the body coming into existence. I witness it growing up, changing, growing old. But it is always an object of cognition. Those of you here in the living room, can you see the bowl on the coffee table?
Mhm.
Are you a bowl? You're the knower of the bowl. Take a deep breath and feel the breath in the body. Pinch your fingers together. Do you not know these sensations? The body is not self-luminous. You know the body fundamentally in the same way you know the wall. You are bodiless. Instead, you are the knower of the body. Next idea.
Without the vital force and the mind.
So the prana, so oftentimes, especially if we get involved with Raja Yoga, we think it's all about the prana and pranayama and raising the kundalini, and I'm opening this chakra and I'm dealing with that chakra being shut down and I'm getting sensations here and energy buzzing, and am I advancing because I'm having these phenomenal experiences? So Feng, I know you have had a lot of energy work, a lot of energy sensations, but do you not know the energy? Presence or absence, moving or not?
Mhm.
You are not prana, you are not energy. Any of you have been around kids? How old's Rishi now, your nephew?
He's 9 months old. 8 months
Talk about a lot of prana.
old.
I mean, just incredible amounts of energy, right?
Yes.
And how are you feeling today?
Tired.
But do you not know that you are tired? You are not the prana. So there was the vital energy. What was the other idea? The
Mind.
mind, yes. Sometimes I feel joy, sometimes sorrow. Sometimes I'm bored. Sometimes I'm stressed. Sometimes I'm angry at people. Sometimes I'm fearful. Sometimes I'm peaceful. I see that we have a palette of emotions, like a painter. Conscious person has a very complex, sophisticated palette of emotions. Frequently in the recovery community, especially with guys, they've got like one feeling, anger. That's it. One feeling, anger. And what we have to learn to do, there's a place in LA where they actually print out a sheet of like 20 or 30 feelings and make these guys carry it around. Wait a minute, what are you really feeling? And go down the list. Oh, I'm really sad. Oh, I'm fearful about money. We learn to become aware of this enormous palette of feeling. Whatever the feelings are, I am the knower of the feelings. I am the knower of memory. I am the knower of feeling true. I am the knower of feeling real peace. I am not the mind. Next idea.
Unborn, comprising the interior and exterior.
Yes. So this idea of unborn, yourself is never born. Many of us, as we get involved with spirituality, can get stuck in the identification with the subtle body. So do you have a family astrologer? Mercury's in retrograde. Everything's terrible. Oh, I have a terrible chart. This is the way I was born. My moon's in feces. I have to worry about my next incarnation. Oh, this is going on from my past incarnation. Vedanta says that is a useful, temporary teaching. Just like Newtonian physics works for most people under most circumstances. But when you look at quantum physics, well, no, actually, things are very different. Truth is, self-realization is not about some ego being freed from rebirth. It's about realizing I was never born in the first place. See if we can get a clearer understanding of it. So when I have a dream body, and from that dream body, I have a locus of perception. I see my dream world of people, places, things, and conditions. And the dream ego identified with it. When I wake up, did I incarnate into the dream? The dream was all imagination, very vivid. Self is never born. Somebody used to say reincarnation is the genealogy of the ghost in the post. Next idea.
consisting of knowledge only.
Oh, wait, I forgot inside, outside. So when you're dreaming, you have dream feelings inside, thoughts and feelings. You have dream perceptions of things outside, objects, people, etc. But all of it is inside the mind of the dreamer. So this world looks like it's outside. Really is, it's just mind. It's in consciousness. It just seems to be outside, like a virtual reality. All right, going on.
Consisting of knowledge only.
So, chit, pure sentience. Prakasha, the light of pure awareness. You are not an it, you are a who. You are a conscious, sentient being. You are the conscious, sentient being. Well, what about when I'm sound asleep? I'm not conscious then. Actually, you are. The way I describe it is, what is the difference between seeing darkness and being blind? If you can see and the room is completely dark, what are you seeing? Nothing. But if someone lights a match, oh, I see it. But if you're blind, somebody lights a match, you don't see it. Did anybody sleep soundly last night? Anybody wake up in the middle of the night to go pee? Did you know you woke up? How could you have been unconscious? So, for example, close your eyes. You are seeing the back of your eyelids. So I illumine the mind folded up into fluids. Next idea.
Without interior or exterior.
Yes. So it seems like I'm inside the body. But actually the body is in me. I love the three statements Krishna says in Gita. First, he says, all this is strung on me like gems on a thread. Well, that's so nice. Krishna's inside everybody. But then in later chapters, he said, actually, I am not in them. They are in me. You are not in the dream. The dream is in you. And he goes on to say, well, actually, you're not really in me. I dream I'm out riding horses. I won't wake up with a horse thing. So it seems like I'm inside my body and the world is outside. It's all in consciousness. Any thoughts on this? Next idea.
It is verily beyond what is known, as also what is unknown.
So, known and unknown. So can you see that there's a phone in my hand? That's knowledge of an external object. Can you see that there is no phone in my hand? Knowledge of the absence of an object. So there are things in this world that I know. There are things in the world I do not know. But what is the knower of the known and the unknown? Which is beyond them all. Still, constant witness of everything. Next idea.
Called Akasha, the self-effulgent one.
Kasha actually means space. So one of the terms we get in Yoga Vasishta frequently is Chid Akasha, the space of consciousness. So when I look behind my eyes and notice the noticer, I can't find an edge or a boundary. It's vast and empty like the sky. Akasha also means sky. But it's shunya, it's empty, but it's also purna, full. Because that emptiness shines as the light of awareness. Don't try to figure it out. Go there and see what's true about you. Next idea.
It is neither born nor dies.
So this doesn't just mean the body, which is born and it dies. But every experience is born and it dies. Fang and I were talking about some property our family has in Florida. It's got a leaky roof in the middle of a hurricane. Don't worry, the whole house will fall down eventually, as will every house. But everything in this world comes into existence, remains for a while, then goes out of existence. But I am the unchanging knower of that process of birth and death. I am never born. I never die. Those of us who've got a few years on us, there's some of us in this class who've been around the sun a few times. Seen our bodies change, the world change, politics change, relationships change. But something has remained the same. You are beyond the changes of birth and death in this world. Next idea.
Jim, I have a question before we
Please.
move on. The concept of knowing seems different from awareness and consciousness. And I'm sure there's subtlety, but could you even speak of Brahman as knowing? Because knowing really suggests objects and discrimination of objects.
Very good point. Very good point. So Brahman appears as the knower of phenomena when phenomena is perceived.
Okay.
But there's a different kind of knowing that takes place that's beyond the knowing of this world. So, Mark, do you exist?
Yes.
How do you know that?
I don't know how I know it.
You
I
do
don't know
not know
how.
yourself like an object,
Right.
yet you know you are. It's self-evident.
Right.
So that's the inherent nature of Brahman, is chit, is sentience itself.
Mhm.
Now, in the end, listen very carefully. The knowing of objects is still nothing but the self-evidence of consciousness. Because what appears as objects is nothing but the self in the end.
Okay. Right. I get it.
Was that useful?
Yes. Thank you.
Next one.
It is not affected by anyone's sins.
So, what we tend to think of when we are identified with the body or the personalities, I want to be a good person. Or, as we were talking about before class, I want other people to be good people. Now, I have something to tell you about human beings at the level of the body, mind, intellect. We are all flawed. Think about it. The body, mind, intellect, the equipment, by definition, by inherent nature, is finite. The endeavor to be a perfect person is like trying to count to the highest number. Now, Swamiji used a term which I love. He even has a series of books called The Art of Man-Making. And here we mean the art of becoming fully human. So you go to the psychotherapist and you're a sick person trying to get well. You go to the priest or the rabbi and you're a sinful person trying to become moral or good. If you're a secular humanist, you're a destructive person trying to become humane. But I say, look at the equipment, the body, mind, intellect, and see it as an art, like a song or a dance. It's got movement in it, it exists in time. And what do we have to do in our allotted span of 70, 80, some 90 years? We have this thing called a human being. Can we make it as beautiful, as useful as we can? And I see it more like a song or a dance rather than like a painting on the wall. This painting on the wall is static, it just sits there. But what happens when the dance concert's over? Gone. What happens when you finish singing the song? Gone. What happens when you finish this thing called a human being? Gone. And it's very funny. Here in Oakland, you can drive up Piedmont Avenue, and then when it crosses Pleasant Valley, you head towards the graveyards, the cemeteries. You guys ever been there?
No.
There's a Catholic one, and then there's like the Chapel of the Chimes, which is a Julia Morgan building, beautiful. But if you keep going up, you'll hit the area where these big mausoleums where all the rich people are buried. Gone. Then you go over the hill down the other side. That's where the really old mid-19th century graves are. The mid-1800s. And overgrown, some of them are kind of toppled to the side and stuff like that. There's not even anyone left who tends the grave. So, those of you, your parents are still alive? Are your grandparents still alive? Are your great-grandparents still alive? Are your great-great-grandparents? Do you even know their names? So everything we think of is so important. In a very short period of time. No one knows, and no one cares. Swami Chinmayananda, Puja Gurudev, 40 books, etc., etc., etc. His guru, Swami Tapovan. I think Tapovan's guru was the Shankaracharya of the Sringeri Mata, but I don't know for sure. And who his guru was? Even great Mahatmas, unless they get pressed like Ramana Maharshi or Nandamai Lama. In a short period of time, gone. Nobody knows. Nobody cares. Nobody remembers. So we have now, right here, right now. Sing the song of life itself with as much love and with as much beauty as you can. In the blink of an eye, it's gone. Don't waste this precious life in regrets and worried about the future, living in the pains of the past. If we do, we miss the beauty of memory. Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
Just as air is always in the ether.
So, air is always moving in space. So you are the context for all phenomena. You are the immovable Chidakasha ether, space, sky of consciousness. Everything moves in you. You are sleep still. Next idea.
The individual self should be regarded as the universal one.
Yes. So it's not that my individuality is going to explode or be glued on to Brahman or evolve into a super being. None of that is true. The very substratum of the ego is Brahman. So one of the words the scriptures use for the ego sense is chit-chaya. Chaya means a shadow or a reflected self. So when you have a light shining behind you, here you are, your shadow's in front. Shadow occurs when the light is occluded or obscured. You shine a light on a shadow, it disappears. So this phony self, this shadow self, this ego, only appears to exist when I'm looking outward. If, on the other hand, I really go looking for this ego, me, where am I? It just falls. This is not real. So for just a moment, you could tune up the mind. Listen to the sound of the traffic. And who hears it? What hears it? You see, it's just occurring in an empty sky, the space of your awareness. There's no person in there. It's the very substratum of the ego. What is the ego? That pure awareness plus stupid ideas. I'm good, I'm bad, I'm successful, I'm a failure, I'm tall, I'm short, I'm happy, I'm sad, I am, fill in the blank. Take out your cosmic scissors. Snip, 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 snip. Next thought.
It is called neither existent nor non-existent.
So existence here meaning the existence of an object. Oh, Jim, I took MDMA. I was a Burning Man. And I saw the self. I was one with everything and I merged. I really did. Did it come and go? Did it have a beginning and an end? Is it happening now? That wasn't it. Who saw what was going on before you took the drug? Me. Who saw the ecstatic experience? Me. Who knows the ordinary mind now? Me. That's what is real. Pay attention to the eternal fact. Self is not an experience. It's yourself. It is an eternal factor. Outside of any mind state. Next idea.
As the self is beginningless and devoid of qualities.
So we've talked about this idea of being beginningless without any beginning. It is the knower of all qualities, but itself is vigunaihi, beyond all qualities of any kind. Next idea.
The same in all beings.
Oh, yes. So the meditation is, I see the room from my viewpoint. You see the room from your viewpoint. I'm aware of my body. You are aware of your body. I'm aware of my thoughts and feelings. You are aware of your thoughts and feelings. When I, as it were, look behind my eyes and notice the knower, there's that vast, empty space of consciousness. And when you look behind your eyes and notice the knower, just that vast, empty space of consciousness. Self in me is not like the self in you. Self in me is the self in you. So when you realize your own self, you realize the self in all beings. Next idea.
The Supreme Being is different.
So it is being outside of time and space, name and form, ultimately different from all phenomena of any kind. Actually in another dimension. But I don't realize it's in another dimension. It's always here. Always pervading every experience. Listen very carefully. We miss the self not because it's far away or difficult or needs some strange state of mind. We miss the self because of its profound ordinariness. But think, if it's the eternal factor, if it is omnipresent, always present, what is it about me that's always present? Me. Oh, Jim, I didn't exist. How do you know that? I know I didn't exist. Who knew it? You cannot deny your eternal existence. Next idea.
That's it.
All right. Next verse.
Evam Shruti Smritibhi grihita paramatma lakshanam shishyam sansara sagara deshu prichate priche kasva masi somyati. The disciple who has thus learned the definition of the inner self from the Shrutis and the Smritis and is eager to cross the ocean of transmigratory existence is asked, "Who are you, my child?"
Yes. So here, maybe where Ramana Maharshi got that. So when the person has what we call paroksha jnana, indirect knowledge. I've read and studied the scriptures. I've listened to the teaching of the Guru. Notice the Guru does not say, tell me what you know about the self. That's the wrong question. Who are you? What is your essential nature? The Zen go on. What was your face before your mother's birth? Next verse.
Sa yadi bruyat brahmana putraha adonvayaha brahmacharyasam grihastho va idanimasmi paramhansa parivrat sansara sagarat janma mrityu mahagrahat uttitishuriti. Acharyo bruyat eheva tava saumya mritasya shariram vayohi rathate mritha bhavam vapadyate tatra katham sansara dudhartumichasiti nahi nadyaha avare pule bhasmi bhute nadyaha param tarishyasiti. If he says, I am the son of a Brahmana belonging to such and such a lineage, I was a student or a householder, and am now a wandering monk, anxious to cross the ocean of transmigratory existence, infested with the terrible sharks of birth and death, the teacher should say, my child, how do you desire to go beyond transmigratory existence, as your body will be eaten up by birds, or will turn into earth, even here when you die? For, burnt to ashes on this side of the river, you cannot cross to the other side.
Wonderful verse. So the Guru says, who are you? And if your answer is, I'm Jim, I was born in 1948 in Long Beach, California. I live in Oakland. I'm the son of Richard and Helen. I'm too fat. I'm too old. Then the Guru says, how can you cross over the ocean infested with the shark or the crocodile, a graha, a grabber? think you are the body. Bodies don't get there. It is not an ontological issue. Ontology is the philosophical study of being. It is not that your individuality, your body, will be changed into something. My problem is I'm asleep to who and what I really am. The ego does not get there. The process is I disidentify from what's wrong as you would say, the BMI, the body, mind, intellect, the PFT, the perceiver, feeler, thinker entity. I'm beyond it all, and I've always been that. It's not about the ego sense getting better. It's not about becoming a better person, even an enlightened person. It's about forgetting this world. Realizing I am not of this world. This world is in me. Now, if the student is stuck in body identification, and we have all those various practices for the purification of the inner equipment. Why? Because we can't have the direct experience that I am Brahma, meaning that aha in the mind, if it's too covered by the dross of ignorance. We do some scrubbing. Do karma yoga, do pranayama asana, do bhakti, devotional practices, do seva. Go see your psychotherapist. Whatever you need to do to purify the mind, whether from tamas through rajas to sattva. You are not the sattvic mind in the end. Rajneesh used to use this image. So this person inside a very dark house with all the shades drawn. A person comes in and says, "Come on outside. It's clear and bright and open." "No, there's nothing out there. I'm in this house. It's pretty dull and dark in here, but it's my house." So the fellow goes outside the other person. Then he comes back all unhurt. He says, "Run, there's a fire." Grabs it and pulls it outside. The two of them look back and there was no fire. They both got outside. Very good. All right. Let's start the next one. We've got 5 minutes.
It's a long one.
Well, maybe we should save it for next week then. All right. We have 5 minutes or so. Any thoughts or questions?
Jim, in that analogy, what does the fire represent exactly? I'm
There
not sure.
isn't a fire.
But then in this analogy of like,
You need to do more pranayama. You need to do ACA work.
so there's no fire, then what is that? Does that mean we should make up a fake thing, a fake emergency?
No,
to figure
you
something?
still believe in the fake thing.
I see.
I'm an abused. I have trauma.
I see. It's the suffering that leads you outside the house at some point.
You believe all this stuff is real. Oh, I was an alligator in a previous life and I was stomped on by an elephant. You have no idea how I suffered because of that.
Okay, I get your point.
We make it all up. It's not real.
That's true, but I feel like to some degree, in order to get into a sattvic mind state, your ego has to be healthy, right? And sometimes the ego.
Knock yourself out. Yeah. You'll do that till you don't have to do it anymore. But it's not real. And Fang, if you can come to the point where you make the decision, I give up the mind itself. I'm just not gonna feed into that shit anymore. But I give up believing the mind itself. But see, we can be attached to all that. If we're attached to it, identified with it, then it seems very real to us.
Isn't the mind giving up the mind itself?
Yes, Swamiji used to say the mind commits harakiri. I don't know how the Japanese pronounce it, but it commits psychic suicide. The mind itself comes to see its own fundamental unreality. It can't think a real thought. All this stuff about family of origin or difficult people or stuff like that, it's all bullshit. It's all like a dream. Now, which is more real, a pleasant dream or a nightmare? But as long as I keep trying to dress up the dream,
But it doesn't have to be a nightmare, right? So doesn't that mean you still have to do something? Because the karma of the body, the dharma of the body is karma. You still have to do something, right? Something still has to happen.
the body will take care of itself. You went to the bathroom. Body will do its thing.
Because I feel like there's always a lot of things that I have to do and I need to rely on my mind, like work, for example, to get stuff done, right?
Yeah, but you don't have to believe it. You don't have to put a whole lot of energy into it. You don't have to take it seriously.
Let's try to take it very seriously.
Do you have any like nieces or nephews or smaller children in
One
your family?
niece,
Do you remember when they were very small? Did you ever play games with them?
not a lot actually, because we don't live very close by.
Okay, but you are with Rishi. They're playing games with them? Do they have toys that you play with?
Yeah.
So if you're an adult playing with a child, oh, the truck tipped over, oh, it crashed. Hee. But you know it's make believe. Oh, you're a princess. Oh, you have a magic wand. Are you going to put a spell on me? You know, we do that with kids. We play the game. We don't believe
This reminds me of at a ch1 mission retreat, actually, one of the experiences that gave me a really felt sense of the unreality or like the made upness of the world is we were playing some game, like a sport, and the person leading the retreat, he was like totally into it, and just like playing really hard, running around, laughing, throwing the ball, trying to, like all these things. And like his enthusiasm was really contagious. And for me, like, I'm not into sports. I don't care about sports and games, but like it was contagious, and I found myself like trying really hard. For what? Like it's made up. It's all made up, and like it has no real meaning. But like I threw myself into it, and it was
Exactly.
it's just made up but fun.
Yes. And when it's over, we'll have lunch. All right, we'll quit here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om.
Then that's the point of the game, just to wake up and realize that it's a game.
Actually, there is no point.
Then what's it all for?
Who knows? What's the purpose of a rose?
To smell nice.
What if there's no noses around? What's the purpose of a black hole?
To suck things in.
What's the purpose of galaxies? They just are. We give up causation hunting.
Thanks, Jim. This is really great for my nervous system. Thank you so much, Jim.
All right.
I apologize. I won't be able to make